This week on the County Line, we learn about a new Pennsylvania law for single-family homes.
And we travel to the family-run Cheese House to see what delicious goods they have there.
And for this week's County Close-Up, we learn how Westminster promotes writing across the Disciplines Week. The County Line starts now.
Good evening and welcome to the County Line. I'm Ashley Bishop.
And I'm Bradford Eric.
Alpha Sigma Phi Fraternity brings Fright Nights back for another spooky season. The brothers are once again transforming their house into a spine-chilling attraction that will make you want to experience the terror firsthand. Ghosts and gals will place you in the spirit of Halloween season as you walk through the haunted house and maze. The County Line's Drew Trifolis has the bone-chilling story.
The brothers of Alpha Sigma Phi Fraternity are once again bringing their haunted house to the community.
Me and one other person are in charge of basically everything about the haunted house. We're in charge of it.
But before it can even begin, there's a lot of other work that needs to be done.
There's a lot of background information or background work that gets done. It's a lot of PR, just getting our name out, what we do, who it's for, getting to businesses, trying to receive donations for the charities and for the building, the planning, everything that is involved in the haunted house.
Co-coordinator Matt Monahan says construction alone could take up to 2 weeks.
And kind of delegate it to other people. But I'd probably say it takes about like 2 weeks to solid weeks of setting up, building, and construction.
The theme this year is a little different than in the past.
There's technically not really one specific scene for everything. Each different part of the house has its own separate theme, and pretty much what we wanted to do was make sure that people that walked in here 2 years ago are not seeing the same thing that they did, and just new creative ideas and different scare tactics.
Walkthrough is basically the same, but every single room is going to be different.
The brothers say it is directed towards college students, but will be okay for most middle and high school age youth.
On Slippery Rock, Grove City, here at Westminster, just something to do, and especially the high schools around here, because there's a lot of haunted houses down in Pittsburgh and in other big cities, but nothing really here in small New Wilmington.
It will open Wednesday, October 27th through Saturday, the 31st. Wednesday and Thursday, the hours will be 8 to 11 p.m., and on Friday and Saturday, 8 to 12.
For any college or high school students, it'll be $4 at the door. You can get tickets in advance in the tub for $3, which we'll be selling, the week before. And then any adults that come are $5.
Proceeds will go to the Keystone Blind Association and the Livestrong Foundation. The haunted house has been a tradition for the brothers for over 50 years.
One of the things we definitely want to get the word out there is this has been a tradition since 1949, and it has a lot of history, and this is definitely going to be an exciting year for us. I mean, this house is freaky by itself, but when you add in all these lights and dark, places you have to walk through at night, I mean, yeah, it does get a little weird.
For the County Line, I'm Drew Trifolis.
To purchase tickets, buy them in the McKelvey Campus Center for $3. Or you can purchase tickets at the door. They cost $4. The house is located at 123 Waugh Avenue in New Wilmington.
Looking for a terror-filled time this Halloween season? Then Sharon, PA is the place to go. Ghoul Mansion opens its doors for Halloween and the horror fans in the area. It will be open each weekend until October 31st. Tours will begin at sundown. If you dare to enter the new attraction, Carnival will provide plenty of thrills and chills. Adult tickets are $10 and children tickets are $7. You can purchase the tickets at the door or online at ghoulmansion.com.
Have you ever wondered where in town you can purchase homemade baked goods?
No, I've never known.
Well, you're going to find out this week because the County Line's David Nicholson takes us to the Cheese House. All this and more coming up next on the County Line.
Hi, I'm Dan McDevitt, a father, a husband, Army retiree, and a student at Westminster College. It was nice finding a college so close to home with high academics, was going to put me in the job market right after graduation. If I was to tell another adult student why to come to Westminster, I'd tell them for the academics, the one-on-one personalization they'll get with their instructor, the small classroom experience. I know with this college degree, it's going to open a lot of doors for me. My kids are supportive of me going back to college. When I get good grades, they're all happy. They're like, way to go, Dad.
For this week's On the Road segment, the County Line's David Nicholson takes us to the new Wilmington Cheese House. With a variety of local products, baked goods, and cheese, the family-owned business has been successfully running for decades. The County Line reporter David Nicholson takes us inside the Cheese House and shows us what they offer.
Hi, I'm Dave Nicholson, on the road in New Wilmington at the Cheese House. As I walked aimlessly around the most cheese I've ever seen, I began to feel the power of cheese. One unique cheese that caught my eye was the Five County cheese. It is a layered cheese that originated in England. Unable to decide, I began to explore the rest of the store. Once I encountered Good and Evil pickles, I wasn't sure what to expect. Luckily, Mr. Wireman was glad to help.
Oh, I like this smoked cheese. I really like it. I get a lot of that. And pepper cheese. I like that. It's got pepper stuff in it.
How often do you come here?
About every time we come through down here.
Wireman explains the variety is much greater than a normal store. With this knowledge, I decided to get some popcorn salt and root beers. From locally made apple butter to all locally made products, you are sure to find whatever you're looking for. Once the cheesemonger cut the cheese and sent me on my way, I knew I was in for a surprise. I'm Dave Nicholson, reporting in New Wilmington at the Cheese House for On the Road.
Coming up on the County Line, we have this week's County Close-Up, followed by Titantown Sports.
Ready, go. All right, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
In this week's County Close-Up, the County Line's Ashley Durham sits down with a Westminster College professor and student to discuss the importance of writing across the disciplines week here on the Westminster campus.
The faculty and administration are promoting the week as a lifelong skill that's not just used for English majors.
I'm Ashley Durham, and I'm sitting here with Dr. Robinson and Sarah Welsh to talk about Writing Across the Disciplines Week. Could you both tell us what Writing Across the Disciplines Week is for those who don't know?
I'll start with that. It was a series of events organised by the Faculty Development Committee and the Academic Standards Committee here on Westminster campus to raise awareness amongst the faculty and the students about the importance of writing.
Very interesting. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
I guess just to add to Dr. Robertson, it's to bring awareness to all students about how important writing is, not just in school, but throughout their lives in whatever field they'll be entering.
And can you both tell us, one of you is in the biology department, the other in chemistry. Could you tell us how writing is important in your field?
I would say writing's important for all of the sciences because scientists have an obligation to write and communicate about what they're doing. Scientific research is paid for by taxpayers' dollars. They have a right to communicate what they do. They have an obligation to communicate what they do to each other and to the taxpayers. So they publish their work, they're obliged to do that, and they don't receive government funding unless they do publish their work, in fact.
Very interesting. Sarah?
Yeah, scientists must be able to communicate their ideas to both other scientists as well as those that aren't scientists or not familiar with scientific language. And they must be able to communicate the results of experiments and what those mean for future research or even what is happening now, such as in medicine. So they must be able to communicate clearly those ideas so others can learn from them.
Interesting. Dr. Robinson, how do you personally get students involved in the sciences to become better writers?
Well, first of all, we make them understand that writing in the science is different than writing in their other classes. We make them understand that there is an obligation to communicate what they're doing and that the best way to process your ideas is by writing them down. You can't design good experiments without writing them down first. So there's lots of different styles of writing that they have to achieve in the sciences. The best way to teach writing to students, I think, is to get them to read, and read some more. So we spend a lot of time doing assignments with them and exercises with them in class which involve reading primary literature, reading literature that's written by sciences in a particular style for scientific writing. And reading comprehension is very important. Following that, we also ask them to do a lot of writing different types of styles, writing lab reports, writing newspaper articles on ethical issues that surround science, recognizing the different styles. We get them to edit their own work. We give them guidance on how to do this because being able to assess your writing yourself, edit your own work is a major process in learning how to write properly. And writing takes a lot of practice and a lot of self-editing. So we do a lot of those types of exercises as well.
Sarah, from a student's perspective, how does writing apply to chemistry for you?
It's definitely a large part of chemistry because we have to, whenever we perform labs, we have to write down our findings, detail the procedure, and interpret our results so that others can understand them. And that requires being able to explain yourself clearly, understand the vocabulary and the other terms you're using, and also the materials that you're using. And so writing is just as big a part of chemistry as math or understanding chemical terms.
Very good. Why is it important for all students to write well?
Writing is important for everybody, not just students. All students should learn to write. They need to be able to communicate their ideas to themselves initially and then to other people. But writing is a very important factor in everyday life. Just writing simple letters can make a big difference to your life. For example, if you apply for a job, you have to write a cover letter. Many people are judged by their cover letter and their ability to express themselves in writing.
Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
I think, well, definitely in my generation, we write every day, text messages, emails, Facebook, Twitter, all kinds of things like that. And being able to communicate your ideas clearly so that others can understand them is very important. And also being able to write and kind of get your thoughts on paper or on a computer and helps you understand your own thoughts as well.
And I'll add to that too. We're moving into an age where the telephone is not as used as often as it used to be. Mm-hmm. Personal communication is not used very often. People communicate with each other through writing these days. Email is the official form of communication on Westminster College. So in any job, if you have to communicate with your colleagues, your peers, or your employees, you need to be able to write clearly.
Absolutely. Why is it important for students to write personally rather than just academically?
I think it's important for students to write personally because it allows them to explore and develop their thoughts and develop their ideas. Having an idea and developing it on paper and being able to express it to someone else is actually a very, very difficult thing to do. So personal writing, just writing a journal, really improves those skills a lot.
Sarah, do you have anything to say to that as a student?
Yeah, I personally journal all the time. And you have a lot of thoughts throughout the day, whether like worrying about tests or things like that, and you're not always talking to someone about them. So it just helps to kind of write your thoughts down, organize them in a certain way, and it's almost a release for me to journal. I think that helps a lot.
Well, thank you for sitting down with us today. Titan Town Sports is coming up next.
Coming up on the County Line, Titan Town Sports will show you the new inductees into the Titan Hall of Fame.
Now by Jim Daffler, the athletic director here of Westminster. Jim, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And you had an opportunity to coach 2 of the 7 inductees into the Titan Hall of Fame, Andy Wormsley and Chad Phillips. What was it like being able to coach those 2 great basketball players?
Well, as I've told a lot of people, you know, you have good players, you can be a good coach. And those were great players, and they enabled me to be a very good coach. Andy was probably one of the most athletic, if not the most athletic guy I've ever coached. Tremendous athlete, good all-around basketball player. Chad was a little bit of a late bloomer, came into the program at 6'4", 165 pounds or so, and graduated at 6'6", about 210, and became a nightmare for people to guard because he could play both in the perimeter and the post. So both of them gave us the ability to do a lot of things basketball-wise, offensively and defensively, that maybe some other teams weren't able to do.
Could you talk a little bit about the induction process, how people get nominated and
Sure.
inducted?
We have a committee that meets each year in the spring. It's a 10-person committee made up of some coaches. It rotates some each year, so it's not always the same people. Some alums, some people who are already in the Hall of Fame. And so it's a good mix of people. Nominations are made by alums or by former coaches and current coaches. And so there's usually a pool of, say, 20 to 30 people on the ballot. And then we meet in the spring and select the group. There's not a set number that we select each year. It kind of depends upon how the voting turns out. To be nominated, a person has to have been out of school. If it's a former player, has to be out for 8 years. And then they have to have obviously graduated from Westminster, as well as been a letterman in at least 2 years in the same sport and so forth. And of course it encompasses all the sports that we have now, so it can be pretty competitive from that standpoint.
Who else is on the committee? I know you are in the assistant athletic director. Who else is on the committee?
This past year, our 3 coaches that were on the committee were Coach Renninger, Coach Redinger, and Coach McNeil. And again, they're on for 3 years, but it rotates so that as one goes off, there'll be somebody else coming on. So we have some continuity that way. And then some of alums and former Titan athletes that were here. Dr. Fusco, who was former AD and football coach, is on the committee. Marjorie Walker was on the committee, and she is now, of course, sadly passed away last spring. So Kip Haas has taken her place this past year. Herb Ellis, Pat King, they're 2 Hall of Famers, one in football, one in basketball, and then Rick Reiber is the 10th member of the committee. And Rick is Westminster alum who is also a member of the Towering Titan organization, so they have a representative on the committee as well.
All right, thank you for joining us. That's all the time we have today. We're going to take a quick look at a preview of the Titan Hall of Fame inductees. This year's class of Titan Sports Hall of Famers will be inducted on Saturday, November 6th. The inductees will be recognized at halftime of the Westminster football game and will be inducted during dinner at the Witherspoon Room starting at 5:30. This year's inductees include Gary Brown, class of 71 for basketball. Brown was the MVP for 2 seasons in the early 1970s. He's a 2-time All-Conference player and earned an honorable mention for the All-America team. Brown, who scored over 650 points in his career, played under 4 different coaches in his 4 years as a Titan. Christine Lazara, class of 98 for cross country. Lazara was the Titans' leading runner and MVP in all 4 of her years at Westminster. She was also the first cross-country runner in school history to qualify for nationals in all 4 years. Lazara was also a member of the track and field team in her time at Westminster. Don McKeag, class of 60 for basketball. McKeag scored one of the biggest baskets in Westminster history when he made the winning basket as time expired in the Titans' 39-38 win over 3-time defending national champion Tennessee A&I in the semifinals of the NAIA tournament. Although the Titans lost in the finals, they finished 24-3, good for 4th in school history in total wins and winning percentage. Chad Phillips, class of 01 for basketball. As a senior, Phillips was the 5th leading scorer in all of Division II, averaging 24.3 points per game, and was also the Titans' leading rebounder. Phillips, who was also the team MVP his junior year, finished his career with 1,167 points, which currently ranks 25th all-time at Westminster. Robin Roberts, class of 02 for basketball. Roberts was the first women's basketball player to score over 1,200 points in her career and was the team's all-time leading scorer when she graduated. Softball coach Jan Redinger, who was the basketball coach at the time, had fantastic things to say about Roberts.
When she became the all-time leading scorer at the time, she broke the record her senior year. And that being said, it has been broken since, but what Robin did was she broke the record while we were Division II. That's an incredible feat.
Marlo Tolbert, class of 56 for track and field and cross country. Tolbert was a 4-year letter winner and 3-year captain on the track team from 1953 to 56. He led the Titans to the Tri-State Conference Championship in 55 and 56. Tolbert set the school record in the 440 at 50.9 seconds and was also a 2-time letterman for the cross country team. Andy Wormsley, class of 01 for basketball. Wormsley scored 1,382 points in his career, which remains at 12th all-time for the Titans. Wormsley started all 4 years as a Titan, and he was the team's only player named first-team All-Conference in the Division II Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. He averaged 13.3 points per game during his career. These 7 extraordinary Titan athletes will be inducted Saturday, November 6th. And that's all the time we have for today's edition of Titan Town Sports. Thanks again to Athletic Director Jim Daffler for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
I'm Dan McDevitt, a father, a husband, Army retiree, and a student at Westminster College. It was nice finding a college so close to home with high academics, was going to put me in the job market right after graduation. If I was to tell another adult student why to come to Westminster, I'd tell them for the academics, the one-on-one personalization they'll get with their instructor, the small classroom experience. I know with this college degree, it's going to open a lot of doors for me. My kids are supportive of me going back to college. When I get good grades, they're all happy. They're like, way to go, Dad.
Contractors and firefighters are spreading the word about a new Pennsylvania law. Contractors and builders now need to add a little extra to their building plans and budget. The law makes sprinkler systems mandatory for all new single-family homes. The County Line's Tiffany Burson visits local firefighters to find out how sprinkler systems are beneficial.
A new Pennsylvania legislation may reduce volunteer firefighters' everyday risk. The law can save your home and your loved ones.
They just passed a building code in Pennsylvania, just passed the legislature, that all new construction has to have residential construction has to have sprinklers installed, as well as multifamily dwellings. So this is to show how the sprinklers and the new codes will affect fire behavior in buildings, to show how much safer structures are going to be.
Every 87 seconds in 2009, there was a home residential fire. From the fire service standpoint, that's 3,000 people too many dying from fires that could be saved and property that could be minimally damaged.
Local firefighters show it only takes a few minutes before an entire room is reduced to ash.
You don't have a lot of time to get out. If you were in another room of your house right now, you wouldn't even know this fire is occurring. So it's important that you get out of your home quickly in the event of this fire. Ceiling temperatures are going to be reaching around 1,000 degrees right now. The entire room will erupt in flames. All the combustible gases and smoke will erupt. Everything in this room, not only the furniture, but the smoke is even burning at this point. We're going to have the firefighters move in and extinguish this fire. Doesn't take much water to put a fire out this size. But again, early detection. The smoke detector went off early. Gave us time to get out and call 911. Alerted the fire department early enough. Okay? Time is of the essence in these house fires.
Changes in the construction code make Pennsylvania one of the first states to require sprinkler systems for all new homes. Why? Sprinkler systems can dramatically reduce damage and provide more time for evacuation.
Again, the heat's going to collect at the ceiling. That's what's going to activate the sprinkler system. Sprinkler system operated fairly quick. Again, you're probably not even out of your house at this point. You're probably still in the house, and the sprinkler system has already activated. But water damage we can correct. We can replace your carpet. We can vacuum out the home. We can get rid of that water. Your heirlooms are safe. Your documents are safe.
Pennsylvania is not alone. Several states are implementing similar laws in hopes of saving homes and precious lives. I'm Tiffany Burson for the County Line.
A Hermitage dentist offers cash for Halloween candy. Dr. Dale Spatfora will offer children up to age 15 $1 for every pound of candy. The dentist attempts to encourage children to decrease sugar consumption and prevent cavities. All candy collected will be sent to the soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq.
A Newcastle park becomes haunted on October the 21st. For just $12, you can enjoy a creepy hayride, tour the haunted house, or if that does not strike your fancy, the train station will show you scary movies throughout the evening. Spooky snacks will also be available. The gates open at 6:30 p.m. and the Nightmare will remain in Lawrence County until November the 6th.
The Newcastle Public Annex Theater presents the Great American Trailer Park Musical. The musical is a comedy about a new tenant that destroys Florida's most exclusive trailer park. The show opens October 15th and runs until October 31st. Friday and Saturday show begin at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday matinees begin at 2. Tickets start at the price of $12. For ticket information, call 724-654-3437. That's the news for tonight's edition of the County Line. Be sure to check out WCN247.com for all your local and campus and community updates.
And we'll see you back here next week for another edition of the County Line, as well as all the latest sports action in Titantown sports. Good night.
Have a good night.
Line, we learn about a local company that puts the screams in your favorite roller coasters.
Also this week, we learn how Westminster Field Station is going green.
This and more coming up on the County Line right now. Good evening and welcome to the County Line. I'm Bradford Eric.
And I'm Ashley Bishop. The Amish are an important aspect to this area. In Lawrence and Mercer counties, the Amish lead the simple life of farming and producing goods. But some residents have noticed a change in their lifestyle. Technology has slowly begun creeping in on the Amish. The taboo items like a cell phone now is embraced. The County Line's Corey Emanuel shows us how and why the Amish embrace the cell phones.
The Amish way of life is something many of us find to be a bit peculiar. However, longtime New Wilmington resident Terrell Sipe has something rather surprising to tell you about the Amish.
I know for a fact, I know a guy in town that has like a crew of Amish guys that work for him and they're younger, and they have cell phones and they text, you know, on their lunch break, they'll sit there and text. And I don't know who they text, I don't know, you know, if they have internet on their phones, but they sit there at lunch and they text, so they carry them around. They usually use track phones, and I don't know where they get them, but they buy the minute plans for them, so I would assume the dollar store. And they use them quite a bit. I mean, I would say they use a lot of minutes.
Westminster College professor Kristen Park says that a change in how the Amish support themselves is affecting their self-sufficiency.
The big change the Amish experience these days is it's harder and harder to be a farmer, which is what you really want to do. You know, you want to be a farming family. And so they're moving into businesses, you know, small businesses for themselves and for us, like, you know, with furniture making, cabinetry, quilts, as you know, greenhouses, those kinds of things. So that's been the big change in recent decades with the decline of the farmer's way of life and the decline of their self-sufficiency because of that also.
Since the Amish are now running small businesses, it is easy to see how they would benefit from the use of a cell phone. Besides, it's hard to ignore that they exist when you have a cell phone tower in your backyard. I'm Corey Emanuel for the County Line.
The Wilmington area is home to one of America's 12 largest Amish communities. New Wilmington boasts an Amish population of over 2,000. Other states with large Amish communities include Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. The largest population is located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
A Lawrence County native diversified his sheep farm by making goats more popular. Goats are furry, playful farm animals, and the County Line's Brittany Grego spent a fun-filled afternoon with them where she learned the many benefits of goat farming.
You know, they see me and it's usually not good things.
Shenango High School grad Eric Irvin discovered his love of animals at the age of 8. He found his true love, Mindy.
I tried to get him to come shear my sheep, and he never left after he sheared my sheep the first time.
And they settled on the farm right here in Butler.
We roughly have about 200 total head of sheep right now. We're at 12 to 15 goats. Then we have a few cows and a half dozen horses.
With the improvement of the market, the Irvins recently added goats to their farm. But why goats, do you ask?
Goats are trying to diversify the market. They coexist with the sheep very well and seem to work well together, and kind of trying to diversify the business and have some other aspects and markets for sales and revenue.
A lot of people use goats for milk or cheese, and even for meat, but you can even use them as pets.
Dairy goats need milk twice a day, so Eric only raises meat goats.
When we refer to a meat goat, that's what's going to butcher. It's what's going to be eaten and consumed. So you have a lot of ethnic groups that are really into it, and the demand for it has truly increased over the last 5 years.
Several different cultures feature goat as a delicacy.
It's actually a very diversified market. Middle Eastern and Mediterranean foods are very big in goat. If you're at I've seen it a few times being out of town, but you get into the more upscale restaurants and you look on a menu, you'll see something called chevrez. That is actually goat meat.
Eric expects his goat population to increase to 30 goats next year. But he says he will never see a day where goats will outnumber the sheep.
Same ethnic groups and people that like lamb also like goat also like lamb, and it's very well consumed. And the price difference between goat and lamb, I can't justify having more goats than lambs right now.
He breeds the goats in the spring and fall to prepare for the big markets at Easter and Christmas time. By next year at this time, he'll be ready to sell some kids. But the goats don't have to be sold. Some are used just as pets on the farm.
They're fun, they're playful. You really have to have some space for them because they can be a bit hard on the neighbors, I guess. They will eat everything they're not supposed to, from your flower garden to your vegetable garden.
He suggests anyone planning to raise goats to browse the internet for some great ideas. In Butler County, I'm Brittany Grego for the County Line.
So, Bradford, do you like roller coasters?
Oh, I love them. I rode a few this summer. I like the flips and the dips.
Well, coming up on the County Line, we take you to a nearby company that excels in roller coaster acceleration. This and more is coming up next.
Westminster College is great for working around my schedule. I'm April Stewart. I'm an empty nester. I work full-time and I also work part-time. Westminster College has a flexible schedule that allows me to choose. Going to college is not something that I always thought I would be able to do. The flexible schedule at Westminster College has really enabled me to pursue something that I thought would never be able to come true. And so this has been a lifelong dream of mine.
There's always a thrill when riding high-speed roller coasters. A local business in Newcastle is responsible for keeping you safe on your favorite coaster. After turning away several networks and television shows, Velocity Magnetics allows our cameras in for an exclusive look at their facility. The County Line's Kate Altman takes us behind the closed doors of this unique business.
My name is Dominic Marzano, and I am the president of Velocity Magnetics Incorporated.
Velocity Magnetics may not sound familiar to you, but is known in the amusement park world. This Newcastle native admits that playing with magnetics was originally just for fun.
Magnetics was a hobby that I worked with. Permanent magnetics was a hobby, and eventually I stumbled onto a customer through a friend.
This stumbling was the beginning of a company that services amusement parks, universities, and so much more with its 3 different breaks.
We do horizontal and vertical applications. Naturally, the horizontal applications are roller coasters and objects that travel on a track or not on a track or, guided somehow. And we also do vertical applications for such as drop towers, elevators, or anything that needs controlled.
Marzano, who won the Western PA Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2007, enjoys that every project is unique in his line of work.
We love everything we do here. Everybody that works here enjoys what they do. It's a good variety. We get to go to amusement parks sometimes. Sometimes we get to go to different industrial companies that are exciting, and we just see different facets of the world and different facets of different companies.
So the next time that you come to a stop on your favorite roller coaster at an amusement park, you can thank Velocity Magnetics right here in Newcastle. For the County Line, I'm Kate Altman.
Notice those funny-looking things on the roof at the Westminster College Field Station recently? Some changes have been made, making it even more eco-friendly. 11 brand new solar panels have been added to the roof of the sheds out at the field station. The panels provide some green benefits as they reduce the amount of power used. We spoke to the assistant director of the field station, Clarence Harms, about this environmentally friendly and very productive project.
We're an educational institution. The field station is part of that whole scene, and we want people to know both the theory and the practice of solar so that they can understand. Everybody who comes here and looks at it and says, needs to know more than that. They need to know how solar energy is available, not just here, but any place. And we're hoping that this will spawn local people to put up their own solar units and understand how it works.
Coming up on the County Line, we have your neighborhood trick-or-treat hours for Halloween.
And we let you know about some local fun things to do to take advantage of this Halloween season. Stay tuned.
My name is Rick Dorman, and I work in higher education. Parents ask me which colleges they should consider for their children. I know they're looking for an advantage. Like merit scholarships, which could total $80,000, opportunity for student involvement, or even dedicated personal faculty. And as president of Westminster College, I can assure them that their child will gain that here. So if you want an advantage, consider Westminster.
For the New Wilmington area, the traditional daylight trick-or-treating festivities will run Saturday, October 30th, before the annual Halloween parade. Although different from other areas, the town continues to keep in mind the safety of its youth. Trick-or-treat hours run from 2 to 4 p.m. The parade follows on Market Street at 5:30 p.m. The following areas will also have daylight trick-or-treating on Halloween on October 31st. Grove City, Mercer, Sharon, and Hermitage area will hold their hours from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., and Valant will hold their trick-or-treating hours from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. All children and parents should take all safety precautions when roaming around on Halloween night trick-or-treating.
For over a decade, Cheeseman's Fright Farm in Butler County has been bringing haunting entertainment during every Halloween season. The Ghosts and Ghouls put a chill in the night area in this physically demanding attraction filled with intense audio and visual effects. It is open on weekends until October 31st. Tickets are $12 Tickets are $12 a piece, but group discounts are also available. For more information, visit cheesemansfrightfarm.com.
Looking for a terror-filled time this Halloween season? Then Sharon, PA is the place for you to go. Ghoul Mansion opens its doors for the horror fans in the area. It will be open each weekend until October 31st. Tours start at sundown. If you dare to enter the new attraction, Carn-Evil will provide plenty of thrills and chills. Adult tickets are $10 and children's tickets are $7. You can purchase tickets at the door or online at ghoulmansion.com.
We have your favorite thing coming up next, Bradford. Titantown Sports is on the way. Find out what's happening with the fall baseball season. So stay tuned.
I'm Dan McDevitt, a father, a husband, Army retiree, and a student at Westminster College. It was nice finding a college so close to home with high academics, was going to put me in the job market right after graduation. If I was to tell another adult student why to come to Westminster, I'd tell them for the academics, the one-on-one personalization they'll get with their instructor, the small classroom experience. You know what this college experience is going to open a lot of doors for me. My kids are supportive of me going back to college. When I get good grades, they're all happy. They're like, way to go, Dad.
welcome to Titantown Sports. I'm Ethan Yeager. The baseball team is getting ready for the upcoming season. Let's take a look at what they do during the fall.
The baseball team may not begin their season until the spring, but Coach Nacera and the team prefer to get an early start by playing fall ball. The team begins fall ball activities as soon as school is back in session. Pitcher Liam Halferty and outfielder Justin King talk about how fall ball prepares the team for the spring season.
I think 16 practices. I think 8 of them we do drills and just like a regular baseball traditional practice. And then the other half we just scrimmage, inter-squad scrimmage.
I think fall ball is necessary. It's a good thing. It's not that long of a season. It's only a couple weeks, so it's not a big time commitment. And I think it really helps us come together after everyone's played for different teams in the summer and hasn't played with each other since the previous spring. It really helps our team come together and bond.
I think just working hard and getting better every day, showing coach you can hit, you can throw strikes, you can field ground balls is pretty much the big thing.
I think a good thing for fall ball is to weaknesses that you want to work on. It's kind of controlled game, so you can work on parts of your game that during the season you wouldn't want to mess around with. You might do things differently in a fall ball game, especially when you're hitting or in the field, than you would do during the season just to try it out and see how it works.
You get a lot of more work in before going into the winter. Helps you get some in-game experience when we do the inter-squad games. It's a lot more helpful than just doing regular practice on your own, conditioning, weightlifting. Helps you get more in-game experience, like get you ready for the spring.
The team believes playing in the fall helps to bond the team together and also get the freshmen and transfer students involved immediately.
Fall ball is a good chance to for the freshmen to go out there and show what they got in their first semester of college. It gives us a chance to practice in probably the best weather of the year, compared to the spring. Oh, it was a new experience. I played basketball too, but I came to baseball first, obviously in the fall. It was good just to meet all the guys and get some work in, try to put on a good performance for coach going into the spring. The upperclassmen do a good job of just accepting all the freshmen and the incoming and the transfers. Do a good job of welcoming them to the team. It definitely helps us bond with the new guys coming in, the transfers and the freshmen. It really kicks off the season on the right foot.
It's a good team bonding experience. I mean, even though we split up into 2 teams, at the end of the practice, at the end of the day, we're all friends. We can joke around and have a good time.
The baseball team will begin the spring season after returning from winter break.
Hello, welcome back to Titantown Sports. I'm here with senior third baseman Pat Center. How you doing, Pat?
Good, thanks for having me.
So, Pat, what do you think about the fall ball season?
I think it's a really important thing to have for a baseball team. It's really good to get the new players in familiar with the other teammates and familiar with the system. It's really good to see who worked hard over the summer, who's really trying to get better. You can see a lot of improvement over players, which is really nice, and really helps the team bond together early in the season.
Do you think it's important to have fall ball with all the practices and games?
Yeah, I think it's really important just to see who you think is going to be your team leaders and who you think is really going to help your team throughout the actual season in the spring.
How are the teams broken up into? Do you know at all?
Usually it's the coach decides. I know it used to be the senior captains would pick teams, but the coach has decided to split the teams evenly how he feels to give each team a good chance to win and compete with each other very well.
Coming in as a freshman, what was your first opinion on the upcoming fall ball season?
I was nervous. I was nervous because I didn't know many of the players, but the seniors were really good in getting me used to the team and used to the system, and it ended up being a pretty good experience.
Okay. What do you think about the team bonding? Is there a good team bonding by having fall ball, or does it not really matter at all?
I think the team definitely bonds during fall ball. You know who your leaders are, you know who the captains are, and also you find who your leaders in the future are going to be. You find who the sophomores and juniors that are going to take charge in the fall ball season. You can then you'll know in years to come who's going to be your leaders.
Liam was talking about practices. For the first 8 days you practice, is that correct?
Yeah, it's just sometimes there's a big layoff in between your summer seasons and then your fall ball season, so it's good to kind of get everybody back in the swing of things, get all the fundamentals down before you start the scrimmaging.
What's your normal day like when you for the fall ball? Just say, what's your normal day routine?
Well, you get to practice. You make sure the water's there. You make sure you get your stretching in. You run to get warmed up, and then you start throwing. And then really, once the scrimmages start, you get right into the scrimmages. It's good because the daylight's sometimes a problem in the fall. You want to get as many innings as you can, so you want to start as early as possible.
Okay. What's your opinion on the upcoming season for the Titan baseball team?
I'm pretty excited for the upcoming season. We've been really young in the years past. We were really young last year. We ended up making the playoffs and having an okay year. And we're getting older and a lot more mature. We have a lot of experience. I think our hitters are going to be much better this year. And we have a lot of good young new pitchers in, which is really exciting. So as far as they can carry us is as far as we're going to go, and I think that's going to be pretty far.
What are your goals for the season, Pat?
My goals, first of all, to stay healthy. I've had a problem with that in years past. But I'll just be the best leader possible and just help keep everyone's heads up whenever they get down. Hopefully that won't be necessary too often because I think we're going to have a pretty good team. So just my goals is just to try my best in the off season to try to keep getting better and just be as good a leader as possible.
Okay, thank you, Pat. That's it for this week's edition of Titan Town Sports. Stay tuned for more County Line.
My name is Rick Dorman, and I work in higher education. Parents ask me which colleges they should consider for their children. I know they're looking for an advantage, like merit scholarships, which could total $80,000, opportunity for student involvement, or even dedicated personal faculty. And as president of Westminster College, I can assure them that their child will gain that here. So if you want an advantage, consider Westminster.
In this week's On the Road segment, the County Line's Corey, Emmanuel, and Jason traveled to Cool Springs Corn Maze and Farm Market.
You'll be amazed by the amount of activities at Cool Springs. They're offering more attractions than ever before.
I'm Corey Emmanuel.
And I'm David Nicholson.
And for this week's On the Road,
we take you to Cool Springs Corn Maze in Mercer, Pennsylvania.
The Cool Springs Corn Maze spans over 12 acres of land.
Being a fun family event, we brought some friends with us so they could help us through the maze.
Dave has a tip of his own for navigating through the labyrinth.
So people don't really think about it when they go into a maze. You gotta leave a trail to get back. Spooky.
However, Dave's strategy proved unsuccessful.
After we escaped the maze, we saw what else Cool Springs has to offer.
This beautiful waterfall is not only aesthetic, the water runs into a sifting mill for gems.
The wonderful landscape was accented by a few friendly goats as well.
Nearby, the pedal car tractor raceway proved to be too much for this gentleman.
Meanwhile, Corey had some fun on his own on the 40-foot slide.
I'm too old for this.
How was it, Corey?
Too much fun. Too much. It goes real fast. And then you hit the bottom.
We had a great time today here at Cool Springs.
We'll see you next week.
I'm Corey Emmanuel.
And I'm David Nicholson
for On the Road.
For more information, visit their website at coolspringsmaze.com or visit their Facebook page.
They would also like to remind you to bring your flashlight if you plan on visiting after dark.
And if your business or attraction wishes to be featured in our On the Road segment, contact us at the On the Road email address on the screen.
Alpha Sigma Phi Fraternity brings Fright Nights back for another spooky season. The brothers are once again transforming their house into a spine-chilling attraction that will make you want to experience the terror firsthand. Ghosts and ghouls will place you in the spirit of the Halloween season as you walk through the haunted house and maze. The County Line's Drew Trifolis has the bone-chilling story.
The brothers of Alpha Sigma Phi fraternity are once again bringing their haunted house to the community.
Me and one other person are in charge of basically everything about the haunted house. We're in charge of it.
But before it can even begin, there's a lot of other work that needs to be done.
There's a lot of background information or background work that gets done. It's a lot of PR, just getting our name out, what we do, who it's for, getting to businesses, trying to receive donations for the charities and for the building, the planning, everything that is involved in the haunted house.
Co-coordinator Matt Monahan says construction alone could take up to 2 weeks.
And kind of delegate it to other people. But I'd probably say it takes about like 2 weeks to solid weeks of setting up, building, and construction.
The theme this year is a little different than in the past.
There's technically not really one specific scene for everything. Each different part of the house has its own separate theme, and pretty much what we wanted to do was make sure that people that walked in here 2 years ago are not seeing the same thing that they did, and just new creative ideas and different scare tactics.
Walkthrough is basically the same, but every single room is going to be different.
The brothers say it is directed towards college students, but will be okay for most middle and high school age youth.
On Slippery Rock, Grove City, here at Westminster, just something to do, and especially the high schools around here, because there's a lot of haunted houses down in Pittsburgh and in other big cities, but nothing really here in small New Wilmington.
It will open Wednesday, October 27th through Saturday, the 31st. Wednesday and Thursday, the hours will be 8 to 11 p.m., and on Friday and Saturday, 8 to 12.
For any college or high students, it'll be $4 at the door. You can get tickets in advance in the tub for $3, which we'll be selling, the week before. And then any adults that come are $5.
Proceeds will go to the Keystone Blind Association and the Livestrong Foundation. The haunted house has been a tradition for the brothers for over 50 years.
One of the things we definitely want to get the word out there is this has been a tradition since 1949, and it has a lot of history, and this is definitely going to be an exciting year for us. I mean, this house is freaky by itself, but when you add in all these lights and dark, places you have to walk through at night, it does get a little weird.
For the County Line, I'm Drew Tripolis.
Theater Westminster presents the musical A Little Night Music. The musical tells the story about a middle-aged lawyer and his search with love, and the choices he must make when he truly falls in love again. A Little Night Music runs November 10th through the 13th at 7:30 p.m., and a matinee show on November 14th at 2:30 p.m. at Beagley Theater. Tickets are $15 and can be reserved online through westminster.edu.
The Newcastle Public Annex Theater presents the Great American Trailer Park Musical. The musical is a comedy about the new tenant that destroys Florida's most exclusive trailer park. The show opens October 15th and runs until October 31st. Friday and Saturday shows begin at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday matinees begin at 2. Tickets start at $12. For more information, call 724-654-3437. That's the news for tonight's edition of the County Line. Remember to check out WCN247.com for your latest campus and community updates.
And we'll see you next week for another edition of the County Line, as well as all the latest sports action in Titantown sports. Good night.
Good night.